Hello. I am here to talk about how to buy your first home in 3 to 6 years, the easy and realistic way. These days, it is very hard for Sydney siders to buy a home. Why is that? The price keeps going up. The banks keep making it harder. You need to save for a deposit. You need to have a high income, and so on. Who am I? I am a mortgage broker in Sydney, and I make this video to help you purchase your first home. You can apply directly with your bank, you can use another broker, you don't have to use me, but you can listen to me. What is the biggest issue that I am seeing with my customers? Well, they cannot seem to save for a deposit. Rent is expensive, usually for the same property, the rent is similar to a mortgage repayment. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it is a little bit less, but because the interest rate at the moment is only around 2%, it is more or less the same. Sometimes it can actually be cheaper to rent, but a mortgage needs a deposit. And if you are paying rent, it's very hard for you to have any money left to save, right? So what can you do? Well, I will give you a few tricks here. Trick number one. Trick number one is to reduce your rent expense. How? Live at home with your parents. Rent a room with a friend instead of living by yourself. Try to make your rent not more than $300 per week. $300 per week, maximum rent. Pick a very old building and choose a studio if you want to live by yourself. Just bring down the rent. It's very important. Even though I have money now, I built up my wealth by living with my parents. Imagine if you do not pay rent for 10 years. If your rent is $300 per week, in 10 years you would have saved $156,000. That is very impressive. That is like a giant balloon that's about to explode. It keeps getting bigger and bigger every single year. Okay, so maybe I am a bit extreme. I think most of you do not want to live with your parents for 10 years after you turn 18. What can you do if you do not want to do that? Well, there is the second trick. Trick number two. Trick number two is to save a little bit of money every single week. When I said every single week, I meant every single week. It can be a small amount, but just make sure you do that every single week. How much do you need to save? Many 1 or 2 bedroom apartments in Sydney can be purchased for less than $600,000. At this price point, you can also get a stamp duty waiver. So you actually save around $22,000 in stamp duty. Most banks need a 5% deposit. Some banks need 8% because they charge a lender's mortgage insurance, which you need to pay for. But others can work with a true 5% deposit and let you borrow 98% of the property value, including the mortgage insurance. So let's go with a 5% deposit. 5% of $600,000 home is $30,000. So what if you put aside $100 every single week into your savings account? You will have $5,000 in a year. So that means $30,000 in 6 years. That's 6 years. That's not too bad, right? If you start when you are 18, you can have your first home by the time you turn 24. If you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, you save together, you will halve the amount of time you need. You can have your own home in 3 years. 3 years instead of 6. Just by each of you putting away $100 per week into a savings account. Pretty good, right? You can be only 21 and already have your own home if you start when you are 18. You may think 3 years is kinda slow, but I think it's impressive. What is the third trick? The third trick flows on from the second trick. Get yourself a partner. What's a partner for lending purposes? You do not need to be married. You can be living together or intending to live together in the home which you are purchasing. They call it a de facto partnership, basically a boyfriend and a girlfriend living together in the same home. Why is this important? Not only does it speed up your savings and deposit accumulation process, it also doubles your income. Imagine if you earn $60,000 per year, your partner also earns $60,000 per year. Now you both have $120,000. That's double. Your mortgage repayment remains the same. Your groceries will be a little bit more but not double. Your gas and electricity bill will be almost the same. Long story short, your expenses will be a bit more but less than double, so you can borrow more. What is the impact of a doubling of your salary? Let me run some numbers for you, since I am a mortgage broker after all. Each bank will be slightly different. I'll pick a bank I know who can accept a 5% deposit home loan and let you borrow 98% of the property value, including the lender's mortgage insurance. With this lender, as of today in August 2020, you will need around $100,000 salary to borrow 98% of a $600,000 home. That is if you are single with no kids, no debts, no credit cards, no student loans, nothing. Basically an empty shell. If you have a partner, if you earn $55,000 and your partner also earns $55,000, you can borrow the same amount and purchase the same home. That's a very big difference, right? I think most people in Australia can earn around $55,000 before tax per year. What is the next trick? I think we are on to trick number 4, the fourth trick. That is not to have a baby until you have your first home. Why is that? Because then you will have more expenses, and the bank will treat your baby as being financially dependent on you. The bank will punish you. Your loan amount will be smaller. That is bad. What is the fifth trick? Trick number 5, and the final trick today, is to make sure your partner is also a first home buyer. If your partner had a property in the past, whether it was an investment property or a personal home, and regardless of whether it's been sold or not, and whether you are married or just de facto, generally speaking, you will not be eligible for stamp duty waiver, even if you buy under your own name. So make sure you ask your partner whether he is a first home buyer. If your partner is not a first home buyer, you will need a more aggressive savings plan. Maybe not $100 per week, but $200 per week to cover both the deposit and the stamp duty, if you still want to buy the home within 3 years. That's all for today, guys. I hope this helps. Like and comment below so I know it's useful, and watch out for my next video.